Welcome to LCTA's panel discussion. I'm Marcy Grauer,
I'm Heather Garcia.
Shari Gawanter.
and we're going to start off with our first question. Why have you decided to run for school board, and what do you hope to achieve?
So, one of the main reasons why I'm running is my wife and I are very involved in our school, PTO dad, school advisory council, district advisory council, and so prior to kind of getting all involved in that, we were having challenges in the school, and felt like at times there wasn't support from the administrators. When you talk to the teachers, I feel like a lot of times teachers are scared to say what's really happening for retaliation or just the culture that's kind of been built here in Leon County. And so when I kept addressing issues of behavioral issues in classrooms, it was always it's an isolated incident. But when your child comes home with a footprint on their face and no one noticed it, and when you address it, you're like, hey, what happened? Well, they need to say something. Well, how do you not see a footprint instead of face, And then my oldest was dealing with bullying constantly, and the school wasn't addressing it how I felt it needed to be addressed. It wasn't nipped in the bud. My youngest also got assaulted. In the same week, both my kids got Hope Scholarships. And so that really affected us. Having a child crying, I hate my school, I don't want to go, Daddy don't make me. It's tough for a parent to have to deal with that. And so, you become Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and you're like, okay, how are we going to solve this? Because my kids aren't going to run. We're not addressing the issue is not the answer. And so we tried to have a meeting on how it was handled, the bullying was handled, and it was handled wrong. And the meeting with the administrator at the time did not go productive. And so we ended up leaving the meeting very upset. Told people we ended up going to Tractor Supply to get some stuff for our chickens, and someone in the parking lot, someone from our church grabbed us and said, hey, we need to pray for this girl. So I talked to this girl and really didn't want to pray. All right, let me be honest with you, I was mad, ticked off. I got my own problems. And then I had to be humble when the girl started talking and saying that her daughter wanted to drop out of school because of bullying and the school wasn't doing anything. And so for me, I said, how many kids are we failing? How many kids are hurting? How many kids have we lost either to suicide, dropout, lack of education because the distraction? How many teachers have we lost because they don't have backup from administrators? And I just feel culturally, it's kind of what we have. I'd rather keep the $8,000 kid that's causing problems and suffer. Everyone else suffers. The teachers suffer. The morale of teachers go down. So I want to address what issues are. I feel like we're so scared to talk what we really think because somebody might get hurt or what someone might disagree with or have a difference of opinion or belief and stuff. And we just kind of stay in our own little corners and nothing gets solved. So my hope is that we can bring dialogue back, that it's okay to have differences of opinions, but we should respect one another's opinions and beliefs. And we need transparency, and communication in this district is atrocious. You talk to administrators, they'll just laugh about the district. You talk to teachers, they just laugh about the administrators. And all around, parents aren't really communicating. Teachers need to back up from parents. Teachers need backup from the administrators. Like, we have got to come together because the way that things are going is just not. The challenges that we're seeing, the exodus of teachers leaving, the exodus of parents leaving, students, to me, at the base of it is we are not communicating and we are not working with each other. We're constantly fighting each other.
All right, well, thank you for that. What is your background and experience with schools and public education?
So, my background, I'm a graduate of Leon County. I would consider myself, I was the traditional student that was not successful in school. I didn't necessarily see it was important, but school wasn't for me. As I got older, got hurt and realized, Bill Mumford was my principal. And when I got hurt at my job years ago and couldn't do that job, I realized, oh, I heard that voice. What's your backup plan, Daniel? Because he was like, you can go to college. I'm like, not really. College not for me. And so at 32, I went back to school as a freshman. And so I had a different perspective going back to school, and I was focused and ready for it. And so ended up getting my bachelor's at Flagler College. I went to TCC, graduated TCC. I laughed because it was 15 years since I was last enrolled in TCC, and I was still on academic probation. And I'm like, man, is there not a statute of limitation on this? I was like, man, I was, 18, ignorant, think I know everything. You can't tell me what to do. Y'all deal with it every day, right? And so I got to see, being older, going back to school, I kind of had a different perspective, especially when you're that much older and you're with, peers that are 19, 20, 21, that have a different perspective in life. And so that's part of the education as far as the school and everything was, as I said, I'm PTO, supporting teachers as much as we can, staff in the schools, being on the school advisory council and the district advisory council, just trying to see what's going on and who are the players and what kind of communication we're having, and where are the areas that I see that we need improvement. So I would say that's my background in the education aspect.
Thank you.
What is your plan to address the teacher and staff shortage in our district, and how will you help to improve retention of highly qualified educators?
Well, for one, I think board members, you all as the association, parents, we need to go to our legislatures and say, hey, here's the challenges that we face. This is where we could use more funds. Allocate state dollars, legislature to allocate state dollars to teacher retention for more experienced teachers, get that extra bump instead of, yeah, everyone got a bump, but I've been here 20 years working my tail and I have all this knowledge and everything, and God love you, new person, I'm glad you're here, but why are you making more or the same as me, and I have all this knowledge and experience. I think that's one way of doing the teacher retention. I think teachers having an actual voice in the schools when it comes to how things are handled, that they're backed up, will help with retention. You guys send out the surveys, and I've said it constantly, we've spent decades with y'all saying the same thing year after year, and you got some person up here, oh, we're gonna listen to you, and here we are again, another election cycle, and you're still asking to be heard. Am I gonna say that I'm gonna agree with you 100% and give you everything you ask? No, but your voices matter. You are the expert mattered persons that understand what's going on in these classrooms, and they should be listened to. Even if someone was a principal before or has higher level of experience than you guys, one would say, it doesn't mean that your input isn't valued or is needed, or your perspective needs to be looked at twice.
Please share your position on school choice, including charter schools and private schools that receive taxpayer dollars to fund student scholarships.
So, as I said before, we've had 30 years, or more than 30 years though, the certain schools or the education system as a whole has not done well, has failed in certain areas. I think a lot of it has to do with the communication, input from communities. We're not addressing issues as they happen. We seem to be more reactive than proactive. And so does the vouchers hurt the district? Oh yeah, we lose some funds for IEP programs. The district's got to go out and find those kids that are not enrolled, but they have to have that administrative burden. So those are that affected the district negatively. What I would propose to counter that is using the I forgot the name of the advisory council for people with IEPs. I forgot the name of it, but utilizing those parents and teachers along with the district to go to the legislature and say, hey, here are our needs. We need extra funds for these kids. We need more funds for these teachers to help support these kids that were failing, and so does those private dollars hurt? Yeah, they do. But I also feel like if we were doing our jobs better together, we wouldn't have been seeing the loss in revenue that we have seen.
Talking about state legislators, while they have an important role in deciding statewide education standards that guide instruction, do you believe these same elected officials should be directly involved in influencing what school district curriculum, materials, and instructional resources are used in schools locally, or should this decision be made by the superintendent and school board?
I would have to have more data or information to decipher which is better. I could see an argument why local would be better. I could also see statewide why that's better, because everybody have different curriculums. People travel all over Florida, and if one district has this standard and the other one has this one, well, are we going to be, falling behind? I mean, you kind of see a microcosm of that when you have some of these charter schools where they have all these great intentions on where to elevate the education, and when they bring the kids in, they're coming from different schools. The expectations here, but in reality, the kids are down here. And it's kind of like what you guys deal with is like, how do we're fighting to get up here, so I would have to see more data.
Thank you.
Please share your plan to collect input from and work with parents, employees in making decisions that affect our schools and community, and would you be in favor of hosting teacher focus groups to build relationships and hear concerns at least once a semester?
The fact that that's a question shows the problems that we have in this district. We have the tools here for that. You have the school advisory council that's open. It's a public meeting that anyone can come to. That is a perfect time for parents with whatever concerns, teachers with whatever concerns could come and voice. On the school advisory council, I asked our principal, I was like, hey, when we have these meetings, I want to know, what are the problems? What are the challenges that you're having? Because if we're not talking about the challenges that we have, we're just kicking the can down the road. And every year, the kids are going to get further behind. The teachers are going to be more frustrated. The parents are going to be more miserable. The administrators are not going to listen anymore. And so I think that's there. The district advisory council, there have been many times when I have voiced my concerns or opinions about certain things. And other teachers have, gracefully been able to step up and say, yeah, and we kind of just get pushed along. And it's like, well, isn't the purpose of this body to hear from those schools? Right? Because the district person representing the district advisory council is speaking for that school. So when that person speaks, it shouldn't be my opinion, what I think. I mean, I don't have a problem voicing my opinion, okay? But if I'm representing the school, I should be voicing what the school as a body said. And I feel that we have the resources, we are just not using them. And I think that the district advisory council and the school advisory council is an excellent way for teachers and parents to sit down and really have conversations.
Education unions have an important role in supporting school employees. What do you believe the proper role of the union should be in working with the school board? As a school board member, how would you work with the union?
The union has a great job where it should be advocating for its teachers. I think, talking as an outsider, right? Because I'm not a teacher. I don't know everything you guys know, but I've heard enough to know your frustrations about things. And so for me, one thing I would think would be great for the teachers union is to help with communication. Because if the district's lacking or the school's lacking to inform teachers, let's say if there's a course, someone's teaching a course and they pushed it out somewhere, but your members, or teachers aren't seeing that, I think that would be a great tool for the unions to see, hey guys, if you didn't see this, there's this training on social studies or there's training in math to help you out and stuff. As far as a school board member, I want everyone to come and talk to me, whether I agree with your views on things. You need to have different perspectives to see the big picture, because if we just have blinders on and I just see the world how I see it, we're missing so much potential.
All right, moving to student behavior and attendance has become a serious problem for educators. What ideas do you have to support administration and teachers to address these issues while maintaining safe schools?
So I would say we need to make sure we're enforcing our policies. As teachers, y'all know there's policies, and then it's written down, but no one's doing anything about it. You got no backup. I've experienced, as far as the behavioral issues, where teachers have tried numerous times to talk to parents, and the parents are somewhat like, well, that's your problem. And it's not, because that child's problem is affecting my child and all the kids around and the teacher. And we're losing learning time every time you have to stop class to correct a behavior that at certain points those behaviors shouldn't happen. And because we haven't corrected those behaviors at an early age, it progresses and gets worse when you get to middle school. It gets even worse in high school, and then you wonder what's going on in the streets. Because we haven't taught our kids how you're supposed to behave. And when we have administrators or certain elected people that emulate that behavior, it's kind of hard to say, hey, be the role model when you're not walking it. And so for me, that's one of the biggest problems we have in this district is parents need to, number one, hold their kids accountable. When they misbehave, they should know how to behave in class. And it's one thing if you're having a bad day, it's one thing you're growing and you're learning, but it's when it's constantly. When you have a teacher, when the policy says, hey, if there's a problem, go see the teacher, and the teacher eventually ends up saying, if you got something negative to say about such and such, I don't want to hear it. As a parent, what we're hearing is the teacher's fed up dealing with this problem because the administrators won't do anything about it and the parents won't do anything about it, and everybody suffers. So my whole thing is accountability is how we resolve those behavioral issues.
What are your views on how to best provide FAPE, and that's a free appropriate public education, for ESE students or students with disabilities within Leon County schools? And do you support smaller class sizes and caseload caps? Why or why not?
I would support those in those situations. The challenge is we have a teacher shortage. Can we get those and get those high qualifying people to do it? It's going to be tough. Solution, as I go back to what I said earlier, is getting those parents and teachers in the district to go to the district, go to agencies for persons with disabilities, to voice to them, hey, this is the challenges that we're having, how can you help us? Blind services, hey, this is how we can. Our backyard is the capital. This district should be number one in the state on how things should be run when we have all these resources. Instead, we're in the middle of the pack, arguing about everything but the issues. So that would be my solution.
Given that Leon County School District emphasizes the goal of fiscal responsibility and the state of Florida now has financial literacy as a high school graduation requirement, some think that Leon County schools should go a step further and offer financial literacy support to our school communities for our students, parents, and staff as a way to combat some inequities. Do you agree? If not, why not? If so, what are your thoughts on a fiscal responsible implementation of such an effort?
Ask that question one more time. That was a big one, sorry.
Yes. Given that Leon County School District emphasizes the goal of fiscal responsibility and the state of Florida now has a financial literacy as a high school graduation requirement, some think Leon County schools should go a step further and offer financial literacy support to our school communities for our students, parents, and staff as a way to combat some of these inequities. Do you agree? If not, why not? If so, what are your thoughts on a fiscal responsible implementation of such an effort?
Oh, I would totally agree with that. I mean, you know, I laugh because, you know, we hired someone in our office years ago to mail letters, and they mailed like 100 letters, and they mailed it to ourselves. And it's like, why? Well, because our we're you know, they don't, everything's email. Times have changed. But I say that because it's important to know how to handle your finances, because if you don't grasp that at an early age, you're struggling your whole life, you know. Or you have tough lessons. I had tough lessons on financial responsibilities. And then you also look at the school association, the high school associations for sports, where now kids can use name, image, and likeness. I'm like, that's a Pandora's. It's great that the kids can get paid, but you know there's going to be bad actors out there, and people are going to take advantage of the situations. And we're talking about people that are coming from backgrounds that might not have the background to handle a situation like that. So being financial responsible and literacy courses for parents and students, totally for it, and teachers, totally for it.
Thank you. This is a question that came from our members. Mr. Zeruto, given your strong endorsement of the Bible as a book that everyone should read, how do you plan to ensure that your decision-making remains inclusive and unbiased, respecting the principle of separation of church and state, and serving the diverse beliefs of all your constituents?
It's a good question. The question was what book do I think every student should read? I said the Bible was a book that every student should read. I didn't say it was a book that everyone must read, that you're forced to read. I said it's a good book to read because it shows. Take away the religion aspect of it, since that was the form of the question. The Bible has a bunch of stories on how people were persecuted, how people were challenged, overcome, struggles. It's a book that has 66 books about different aspects that happened throughout the history of time. And so for me, that is a great book to give you a perspective of it. As far as how do I stay openness, just like the moderator said when he asked me about chaplains, if the Church of Satan wanted a chaplain, and I said, well, if we're inclusive, I might not like it, but if that's what a school body wanted, who am I? So to me, inclusive doesn't mean that I have to oppress my beliefs or opinions on things and elevate yours. It just means that I hear you. I may agree with it. I may not. Still love you.
Excellent. Thank you.
What steps would you take to understand and protect the needs and rights of our LGBTQ+ students and staff? And what do you think would be your greatest challenge as a school board member to support these populations in our schools?
I don't think that that we have any policies that took away those rights or feelings. That we don't have a policy or guide how to deal with certain religions. We don't have a guide or a policy how to deal with certain ethnicities. We have policies that protect everybody. So I don't, no one should be marginalized. No one should be made fun of or bullied or whatever for beliefs or lifestyles or whatever. So I don't see how a guide protects that when we already have policies to protect that.
Given the significance of communication throughout any organization, all sectors of the Leon County Schools community should have reliable home internet access. However, this is not true for every Leon County Schools family and staff person, despite some of the programs that are available to assist these select groups. What would you propose to assist those in the Leon County Schools community that do not have access and do not qualify for existing programs to address this need?
I would say, is the programs that are out there, is the bar too high? Do we need to adjust those programs? I don't know what the qualifications are. I know that teachers have struggled. You guys are trying to help those students that are either homeless or low income, that don't have access to that. Growing up, I didn't have a computer. My friends all had computers. I was still doing papers in high school with typewriter. So it was like, man, you talk about disenfranchised. But I would look on that aspects. I mean, can you go to McDonald's? Can you go somewhere where there's free Wi-Fi to access that? Is that ideal? No. Is that an option? I'm sure you guys have used that for your students to help. But I would say to re-examine those and see if there's adjustments that need to be made.
All right. Excited to ask this question since I'm the legislative chair. What is one piece of legislation that you would propose for the upcoming legislative session? And how do you plan to build relationships with our state legislators?
Well, the easiest way to build relationships with them is not by arguing with them constantly, because you disagree with stuff. I feel like over the years we have lost monies that could have gone to our school district for certain projects or whatnot. As far as what would I do with what's one legislation? Well, one for me personally would be the school change times coming up next year. Next year, I believe, where potentially kindergarten, elementary school kids could be starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. Your kid's going to be out there at the school bus stop at 6:30. To me, that's concerning, especially when you look at in this district, we have about the policy right now for school busing is 1 mile radius. And if you look in our district, in a 1 mile radius, we have over 400 registered sex offenders. 67 of them are in a lot of the Title I schools that are 1 mile, and we're gonna have these kids at 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, walking to the bus stop out there. So to me, that's the pressing issue right there for me personally, because I know parents and teachers, you have all scheduled your time on the school schedule. My little ones go first, my next ones go next, you got your older ones, so you have it staggered where, okay, well, what happens when you up in it when high school can't start till after 8:30 or 8, and middle school can't start till 30 minutes before that, so it's either 8 or 8:30, and so then that leaves elementary school starting out. So that would be one of the things I would push for.
Thank you. I think that's, so is there anything else that this is the finish line, that we have not covered that you would like to add?
No, I all I'm saying is that it is time that we change how we've been going. It is easy to go with conventional wisdom and say, I'm gonna vote for this person that's been doing it for 8 years. Are you happy with how things have been the last 8 years? Are you happy how things have been the last 20 years? If the answer is no, then conventional wisdom tells you, make a change. And I'm just here for all the kids of Leon County, parents, teachers. We have got to come together. So that's what I'm asking for. Please vote August 20th. I need you. We need each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.